So it's great to see everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces, and again, as I've mentioned, feel free to ask in the chat. It's open right in front of me. So any questions that you might have, especially concerning today's topic, I'll be happy to help and answer. Um, so without further ado, the talk is going to be about 60 minutes long, including Q&A. Um, so yeah, so let's start. So first of all, where is Antarctica? So I know you know where Antarctica is. It's down under. It makes the people down under re-estimate the term down under. So Antarctica is south of everything practically. I was gonna say south of South America, but it's south of everything. Nothing is north and nothing is south from Antarctica. So Antarctica, before we get to know the continent, first let's talk about what's around the continent. So around Antarctica we have the ACC. So the ACC is the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, and that is the most amazing current on Earth. So first of all, it has been circling Antarctica for millions of years, uninterrupted by any landmass around. So that's first thing about the ACC. So unlike any other current on Earth which has land that stops it somewhere, the ACC doesn't stop, never stopped throughout millions of years. And that's why it accelerated and gained so much momentum as it has today. So it's the strongest current on Earth, transporting around 170 million cubic meters of water every second. I can't imagine that. I don't know if you can imagine that. But I can tell you that it's over 100 times the amount of water in all of the rivers on Earth combined. So that's huge. I mean, this is overwhelmingly huge that the human mind can't comprehend the amount of water that goes through the ACC. So the current itself is 2,000 kilometers wide. It connects three oceans, so that's the Pacific, the Atlantic, and the Indian Ocean. And although it's 2,000 kilometers wide, usually, within the Drake Passage, it narrows down to only 800 kilometers wide. And then it accelerates. Okay, just to think that it wasn't enough until now. So that's the Drake Passage. You can see I circled it on the map. The map is from Wikipedia. Okay, and that's the Drake Passage, and that's the way to Antarctica. I took a screenshot from Windy. If you don't know windy.com, it's one of the best websites for weather, meteorology. So that's a screenshot from Windy showing you the ACC, the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, going from 2,000 kilometers wide to 800 kilometers wide in the Drake Passage. And that's the Drake Passage. So when I took this snapshot not long ago, it was 7.5 meter high waves. So it can reach way more than that. It can reach over twice that. So it can reach waves of 40 feet high, which is quite violent. And so that's the Drake Passage. And this current is what all the old explorers of old times had to go through to get to Antarctica. So it's the currents, and it's the weather, and it's the ice, and it's the waves. And it's really mind-blowing to think that people went through that. I also took another screenshot to show you. This one's from an hour ago of the weather in Antarctica. So now, because Antarctica is in the southern hemisphere, so now it's autumn and it's going to be winter soon. So this is the weather in Antarctica an hour ago. So there is a spot there at minus 70 degrees centigrade. Now, I don't know how much minus 70 degrees centigrade is in Fahrenheit, but it's I can tell you it's pretty cold. You don't have it's you don't have to calculate to know that it's cold. So if you think that today was chilly, I don't know where you are right now, but if you think today was chilly, this is a whole new definition for chilly. So that's the weather today in Antarctica. And the left photo is a photo that I took from my last crossing of the Drake Passage. And this is only 6 meters wave, which is nothing compared to what it can be. So everything was shaking. That's why they call it the Drake Shake or the washing machine experience. So that's the Drake and the ACC. So let's talk a little bit of history before we go to the continent itself. So first of all, Aristotle and Ptolemy came up with the concept of Antarctica at around 350 BC, and also again in the 1st century before Common Era. So people thought that there will be a landmass in the south to counterbalance all the landmass in the northern hemisphere. And this is how they came up with the name Antarctica. So that's the first time the name Antarctica came to being. So the name Antarctica itself is anti-Arctic. Okay, anti-Arctic. So it's the opposite of the Arctic. And the Arctic itself is named after Arctos, which means bear. And the area of the Arctic is named after the Great Bear, Ursa Majora, in the constellation, not the real bear. And because the Great Bear, Ursa Majora, is in the north part of the northern hemisphere. So Arctic is the land of the Great Bear constellation. And Antarctica is the opposite of that. So that's how they came with the name Antarctica. So now we have the name, and later on they called it Terra Australis. Terra meaning land, and Australis meaning south. So this means, Neil Resort, I missed that. He wrote it's minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit. Minus 70 degrees centigrade is minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit. So now even the Americans know it's cold. Okay, so we're good. So Terra Australis is the name of Antarctica starting from the 14th, 15th century. So Terra is land, Australis means south. That's where the name Australia comes from, the southern continent. So they hypothesized the existence of Terra Australis, or aka Antarctica. And this is a map from 1570. And you can see on the map Terra Australis on the south part of the globe. Okay? So this is, or if you're a flat earther, that's the edge of the earth. Okay, but I hope no one is. So this is Terra Australis, the land of the south. Now, nobody found Antarctica. A lot of people tried finding Antarctica. And they found Australia, and they found New Zealand, and they found a lot of different islands in the south, but nobody found Antarctica. Captain Cook, one of the greatest explorers who ever lived, came to the area of Antarctica in 1775, but he did not find Antarctica. He had some kind of guess that we probably might find land there, but that doesn't really count since he never saw the continent itself. So Captain James Cook failed to reach Antarctica. But in 1820 is the first confirmed sighting of Antarctica by a Russian explorer, a Russian captain, who came with two boats, one called the Vostok and the other one called Mirny. And they came and they reached Antarctica at 1820, January 27th, 1820. And the guy name is Fabian Gottlieb Thaddeus von Bellinghausen. He comes from a German noble family, not really a Russian typical name, but he was working for the Russian, and they made him captain and gave him a boat, and then he became an admiral, and he got good conditions from the Russians, better than what he got from the Germans or the Prussian at that time. So he's the first guy who found Antarctica, and they didn't go there with a boat or a plane or anything, like a steamboat or a motorboat. They came with a sailing boat. Okay, and this is how they reached Antarctica. This is not their boats per se, but this is how the great explorers of the day reached Antarctica, depending on the wind and the currents and and sometimes even sheer luck. No weather forecasts, no satellite, nothing. Just head out and hope for the best. That's kind of the goal of that time. So he's the first guy, the first expedition that reached him with Captain Lazarev, who was on the Mirny. And then came the great explorers, Scott and Amundsen and Shackleton and others. And each one of them suffered, and his team suffered. And they went through an amazing ordeal just to be there. And I can't think about how much people suffered to be explorers. I mean, this is it's mind-blowing just to think what they went through. And I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about Shackleton. Okay, so Sir Ernst Henry Shackleton is one of the greatest explorers who's ever lived. And I don't know if you've read the book, The Endeavor, and so that's about the Endurance. Sorry, that's about one of the greatest survival stories in human history. So there was an ad in the paper for recruiting men to go on this expedition, and the ad said, "Men wanted for hazardous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in case of success." And this is the greatest ad ever. I mean, I sign me up for that. This is like the Elon Musk recruiting men for Mars. Okay, a bunch of people will probably die. This is what Elon Musk actually said about the Mars journey. Yeah, probably you'll die. But yeah, wouldn't it be cool? So that's like the same kind of exploration, going to Mars and going to Antarctica. It's kind of the same level back then and comparing to today's. So that expedition went from South Georgia, and they went south in 1914. And as they went south, they got stuck in the sea ice, and then they started drifting along the sea ice, and the boat was stuck in the ice. They couldn't move, they couldn't get out. So they spent 8 months on the boat while the boat was floating away and drifting away with the ice, until the boat broke because of the ice pressure, because nothing can withstand ice, especially wooden boats. And then the boat sunk, and then the men carried their lifeboats and they reached all the way to Elephant Island, and then they went rowing in April 1916 to South Georgia. So, and miraculously, they managed to land on South Georgia. So Shackleton had one of the best navigators of the time that found a way with a lifeboat crossing the ACC, the Antarctic circumpolar current, reaching South Georgia. And this is, I don't know if it's luck or professionalism, but it's endurance. That's what it is. So Harley was the photographer on board the boat. So we have to have good photographers. That's what we do. And he photographed and documented the entire journey of the Endurance of Shackleton's team. And after 2 years of this ordeal, of the boat crashing and everything, and everyone surviving and reaching South Georgia and reaching back and picking up the men, over 2 years, and no one died. No one from the men. Okay, the dogs died. The cat, Mrs. something, I forgot the name, but it's a male cat, and his name was Mrs. something. So they died, but all the men survived. And this is a true story of leadership and endurance and ingenuity and perseverance that really stand up to the day. And this is Shackleton looking at the boat sinking, and the man carrying the boat across the ice to reach Elephant Island. And this was in 1917. I mean, this was 100 years ago. It wasn't like, I don't know, 500 years ago or something. This was 100. They had cameras, not a lot of megapixels, but pretty good cameras. So that's how they did it back then. So today, how we're doing it differently. We're flying from Punta Arenas instead of crossing the Drake Passage. We're flying on an airplane that we charter, and we reach from Punta Arenas, which is in southern Chile, to King George Island on the Antarctic Peninsula. So we don't need to cross the waters. We fly for 2 hours instead of sailing for 2.5 days in, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 feet waves. So that's brilliant. And from there, we go on our boat and we start sailing around the peninsula of Antarctica for 6 to 8 days, depending on the trip, and then flying back. And this is our boat. So that's how it's done today. No need to cross the Drake Shake. That's how it's done today. So we are really spoiled compared to the old explorers of the day. Okay, I'm sure the Shackleton and the guys would love to fly over the Drake instead of being stuck for 2 years. But today we have a very good technology to allow us to do that. So Antarctica itself is 14 million square kilometers, which is 5.4 million square miles. So Antarctica is huge. It's immensely huge, and people don't think about how huge it is. And it's changing in size because, every winter the ice sheet grows, and then Antarctica triples its size, and then summertime comes, and then it melts, and then it reduces in size. So the size really changes. It really varies. The population of Antarctica is around 1,000. It can reach 3,000. All of them are researchers. Of course, there are no indigenous people in Antarctica. So all of the people who live there are either researchers or research supporting personnel, like chefs and cleaning persons and all of that. Engineers. So ownership, nobody owns Antarctica. Okay, nobody. But there are claims being made by Argentina, Australia, Brazil, China, France, New Zealand, Norway, and the UK. So everybody wants a piece of Antarctica, but everybody signed the Antarctic Treaty, which will be void in 2054, if I remember correctly. And the empires, the countries already start luring at Antarctica and trying to establish their claims for future how do you call it, claiming of the land and mining and exploiting the Antarctic continent, because there are huge reserves of oil and gas, as well as uranium, gold, silver, lithium, and many other minerals as well. So everybody wants to exploit Antarctica, but right now no one's allowed. So according to the treaty, no one owns Antarctica. No military presence can be made in Antarctica, and so on and so on. Nobody can exploit it. But everyone wants to change that, and so that's a huge pressure on the Antarctic Treaty to try and protect Antarctica for future generations. So a couple of cool facts about Antarctica. So the first, it's the highest continent on Earth. Okay, it's over 2,000 meters in altitude, and that's the highest altitude continent on average on Earth. Most of that is ice, of course. Sometimes the ice can reach over 3 kilometers high, and the second highest continent on Earth is Asia. okay, with an average altitude of around 800 meters. So Antarctica is way, way, way higher than any continent on Earth. That's also one of the reasons why it's so cold there. That and, of course, the ice and no sun. Okay, so it's the coldest continent on Earth. Temperatures reaching as low as -80, -90 degrees at the center of the continent, at the higher altitude, and during the winter time when there is no sun at all. It's also the windiest continent on Earth because Antarctica has what's called katabatic winds. Katabatic winds are winds that are driven by gravity and not by a low pressure system. So the air closer to the ice sheet is colder than the air above it, and that cools the air, and then the air is heavier because it's more dense. And then it starts sliding down the ice sheet, and then it slides down, more air comes in, and then it accelerates and accelerates and accelerates, and that produces really strong katabatic winds. We also see that in Svalbard with the glaciers, but over here in Antarctica, the sheer size of the ice shelf makes the winds way stronger. So the winds can reach speeds of 200 kilometers an hour, constant speed of katabatic wind that is gravity driven. So it's practically constantly windy over there. So it's kind of a tough place to live. It's the driest place on Earth. So all of Antarctica is a desert. So it's the largest desert on Earth. It's larger desert than the Sahara Desert. But the center of Antarctica has less than 40 millimeters of precipitation annually, which is kind of like the driest of any desert on Earth. 97.6% is under ice. 70% of the world's fresh water is in the Antarctic ice cap. If it melts, sea level around the world will rise by 60 meters, which is incredibly high. I mean, no more Florida. Okay, that's gone. No more Netherlands. No more Bangladesh. So that's 60 meters. Around 500 million tons of krill live in the Antarctic water. Krill is a small shrimp-like creature which is the base of the entire Antarctic ecosystem. And the tallest mountain is Vinson Massif. And if you want to do the 7 summits, the highest summit in every continent, you have to go there and do the Vinson Massif. Okay, so that's a part of getting the 7 summits. So that's Antarctica. Antarctica is unlike anything you've ever imagined. And I've mentioned Elon Musk and Mars, and I don't know, I don't think we're going to be in Mars in our lifetime. Personally, maybe other humans, yeah, but I don't think I'm going to be there, especially because it's a one-way ticket. But I think that Antarctica is the closest you can be to be on another planet within planet Earth. Okay, so it's kind of the same weather as the same temperature as Mars. Okay, it's practically the same temperature as Mars, better atmosphere and more ice, but it's kind of the same as Mars. So this is Antarctica. It's a must and a privilege to be able to set foot on the 7th continent. So after I've been to all the other 6, I said I gotta be in Antarctica and complete my mission. So it's kind of it's a thing. So Antarctica is super extreme. Everything is extreme. I mean, the wind, the temperature, the ice. This is an iceberg, and this iceberg is as big as a city. Okay, it's part of the ice shelf that collapsed. By the way, a week ago there was another big chunk of sea ice collapsed from the Ross ice shelf. I don't know if you heard the news about bigger than Central Park. So that happens all the time, and that's the way the beaches in Antarctica look like. So in Antarctica there are a lot of inhabitants, locals, as you can say. The first I would like to introduce you to is the Adelie penguin. So Adelie penguins are the one of the two only species of penguins that winter on Antarctica. Okay, there are 7 species of penguin in Antarctica. The Adelies and the Emperors are the only one who winter in Antarctica. So these guys are absolutely tough. Okay, they can withstand temperatures, and they can hold in winds and in cold conditions and without food and with no sunlight for many, 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 many days. And you don't get that tough by doing nothing. So they're really tough in many senses. One of them is that they have 2 offsprings, 2 chicks. And when they are out of the egg, the parent runs away from them. I mean, I can relate, but it's different. Okay, so the parent runs away from them, and only the chick that catches up with the parent gets food, and the other one doesn't. So almost always, one of the weaker of the 2 chicks will die of starvation. So only the strongest one will survive, because in Antarctica there is no room for second place. Okay, it's either you're a winner or you're dead. That's kind of life on Antarctica, winters on Antarctica. So this is the winner, this guy. And so the Adelies are really tough. You know, they nest on pebbles. Okay, so they have pebbles that they collect, and then they nest on that. So the pebbles give insulation because of the air around it from the ground, which is permafrost, frozen. And that's how they incubate their eggs. So the females chooses the male with the biggest nest, with the most pebbles. So pebbles are like money to them. So that's they kind of a merchant currency with pebbles. So they really love their pebbles, and they carry around the pebbles, and they watch around for the pebbles. I hope that the video is working smoothly because of Zoom. You know how it is. And these are the Adelies, and this is a nice warm summer day in Antarctica. I wish I could show you. I could show you the smell of it. You can't smell it with the zoom. You see the parent is standing on the chick and cleaning it from ice. So this is how it is in Antarctica. Yeah. And that's me surrounded by a lot of waiters. A lot of penguins. Okay, they're Adelies. And this is their colony. Another kind of penguin that lives there is the Gentoo penguin. And that's a brushed tail penguin. And here you can see the parent feeding the chick. And again, with a nice warm Antarctic summer day. So that's how it looks like in Antarctica. By the way, this photo was exhibited in the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. This photo that you're seeing now. So again, the parents need to keep the chicks warm under any conditions and feed them and take care of them. They are quite helpless, and there are a lot of skuas around, brown skuas, that feed on the eggs and the smaller chicks, so they just swallow them whole. So the parents really take care and look around and try to protect the chicks from the brown skuas that will try to eat them. So these are the Gentoo penguins, and they're really, really fast underwater, and you can see how hydrophobic the feathers are, so they don't get wet because of the wax on the feathers and the fat on the feathers. And so it's just streamlined, and that's how they keep warm even in the Antarctic water. So the feathers are really, really dense, and waters don't reach the skin. Okay, that's how they stay insulated in the cold water. By the way, another cool story about the Adelie penguins is that when they want to jump in the water and go feeding, they always stop before going down, and they stop and they look and they examine the water to see if there's any predator around, because the predators of all the penguins are the leopard seal and the orcas mostly. Okay, so these are the penguin killers. So they stand and they look and they try to find if anything dangerous is in the water. If they don't find anything, what the Adelis do, they just push one of them in the water. Okay, the poor bastard falls in the water. He's like, damn you, what are you doing? And he falls in the water. Then everyone's looking and seeing if there is a blood stain, a puddle of blood floating around, to see if there is anything dangerous in the water. And if there is nothing dangerous in the water, then everybody jumps in the water simultaneously. Again, they have their techniques. You can agree, you cannot agree, you can like it, you cannot like it. That's what they do. So this is the chinstrap penguin. That's another cool penguin living there. Again, everybody's breeding, everybody's feeding. That's how they do. That's what they do in that time of the year, in the summertime. So these are really, really cool guys. I really love the chinstrap penguins. Actually, a lot of them are gay, males with males and females with females. There's also a very famous chinstrap penguin gay couple from the New York, from the Bronx Zoo in New York, and there's even a book online. You can read it. It's called "It Takes 3 to Tango." So there's a male and another male, and then their offspring, the chick, is called Tango, and that's a little baby female chinstrap penguin. And when she grew up, she was also gay, and she was partnering up with a female. So that's how they do it. I mean, this is also showing you that it's everywhere in nature. This cool guy is one of my favorite. That's the leopard seal. So this guy is actually injured, and he was missing one of his limbs, his hind legs, hind flippers, and which was probably bitten off by an orca. But this guy is on the beach. This was in Half Moon Island off the coast of Antarctica. And look at those teeth, by the way. They're so cool. Complex teeth, just made for ripping out penguins. And of course, the sunsets. Okay, the sunsets in Antarctica are always amazing. Okay, just the sun reaching the horizon with all the icebergs around, and you can see the penguins getting ready for a good night's rest on those bergies. The next photo is one of my favorite that I took in Antarctica, and this is the sunset on this huge iceberg. And this iceberg, if you can look at the lower left corner of the iceberg, you can see a lot of little pixels, and these are Adelie penguins. Okay? So this iceberg is around 500 feet tall. 500 feet tall. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. And although it looks really impressive and really cool, it's a big alarm for us, because it's these huge icebergs are carved up from the Antarctic ice shelf, and in recent years we see more and more and more of these huge vast icebergs floating around, which take years to melt. It can take 2 or 3, 4 years for them to melt because they're so huge. And again, the Antarctic ice shelf is disappearing in front of our very eyes. And of course, we have a lot of seals. We have the crab-eater seals, and we have the Weddell seals, and we have elephant seals, and a lot of others that are also quite amazing to watch around. Look at these guys; they're so sweet. And this is the crab-eater seal. And of course, ice in all kinds, in all forms, and you can just make a portfolio, a digital book only on the ice that you see there, without even talking about the animals. So if you love ice, actually we took some ice to drink with our whiskey later on. So you can say that you drank iceberg ice, glacier ice that's 2,000, 3,000 year old in your whiskey. Okay, which is for me it's cool. Whatever you decide. And of course, whales. So we have a lot of whales in Antarctica as well. There are more ish protected over there than they were in the Arctic oceans. So in the Arctic, they were pretty much hunted to extinction by Europeans in the 18th and 19th century. And in Antarctica, it was further away, so they were less hunted. But they were still pretty dwindled in numbers, unfortunately. But we have there, of course, the orcas, the killer whales, and we have the humpback whales, and we have blue whales and fin whales and a lot of other whales. And the humpback whales, which you can see over here, are one of the most amazing animals of Antarctica. So these are baleen whales. So they eat krill, and they gulp a lot of water, and then they filter through the baleen. And then they eat krill. And these guys are the coolest because they do what's called bubble net feeding. And we saw that happening right in front of us. And so what they do is two whales just circle around, and they release air bubbles through their blowholes. And those bubbles just concentrate all the krills in the center. And then they rise up to the surface of the water, and then the humpback whales just feed within the entire pack of whales. So that's how it looks like with the video. And this is with an iPhone. Okay, not with a camera, with a real camera. This is with an iPhone from the Zodiac that I was on. Can you hear the soundtrack? Can you hear that? Look, yeah. Now look at that. I'm speechless. This was one of the coolest experiences that I've had. I could have touched it. It was just, I don't know, 2 feet away from me. And it was just diving, and the entire boat was rocking like that because of the wake. And I was tearing up from excitement. And just remembering it now, I'm tearing up because it was so awesome being this close to the whales. So one of the things that I always like doing, not always, sometimes I like doing when I feel like it, is swimming. So you can swim in Antarctica. The water is not so hot. It's kind of cold-ish. It's around 33 degrees Fahrenheit, which is around 0.5 degrees centigrade, just above freezing. So yeah, if you want, you can swim there. It really wakes you up in case you were tired. So you can do that. And one of the things that I've done after being in Antarctica and seeing the impact that humans have on nature, I've been doing. I'm a global Greenpeace ambassador, and we've been doing a campaign to create the Antarctic Ocean Sanctuary. And I want to show you that campaign. It's a short video that I've done with Greenpeace, and let's see.
Such a heartwarming moment. In the middle of a very crowded, loud, and frankly quite smelly penguin colony, I spotted this sweet little family of G2 penguins enjoying their dinner together. And they are not the only adorable inhabitants of the Antarctic. This frozen continent, literally at the edge of the Earth, is home to 7 species of penguins and some of the world's most amazing animals. Enormous whales, orcas, seals, fish, and millions of seabirds live and nest in the ice-covered waters and rocks of this huge white wilderness. Most of them feed on the tiny krill, a small shrimp-like creature which is basically the base of the entire Antarctic ecosystem, the fuel that powers it. Sadly, masses kilometers of krill are getting sucked up by industrial fishing vessels. It is in danger, and so does all the Antarctic sea life that depends on it. How can we protect Antarctica and its incredible inhabitants before it's too late? Greenpeace has launched a global campaign to create the Antarctic Sanctuary, the world's largest protected area covering 1.8 million square kilometers of ocean. The Antarctic Ocean Sanctuary will be a safe haven for penguins, whales, seals, and of course, the tiny krill. Let's keep this surreal-looking, extremely cold, fascinatingly unpredictable, and absolutely magical place protected and free of humankind's irreversible imprint. Sign our petition to save the Antarctic life. Thank you.
So, what was the result of this campaign? So, there was no sound? Oh, you have sound. Some have sound, some don't have sound. Okay, maybe it's your volume. I don't know. Weird. Anyway, well, there were subtitles. So, okay. So, the results of this campaign was that there were millions of signatures signed of the petition, and the countries which are part of the Antarctic Treaty, 25 countries, had to vote on creation of the Antarctic Ocean Sanctuary. Out of 25, 22 voted to create, in favor of creating the Antarctic Sanctuary. 3 voted against. Okay? It has to be unanimous, so that's why it didn't pass. But the 3 that rejected, that opposed the creation of the Antarctic Ocean Sanctuary, we're going to shame them, okay? Those are China, because China is the main country doing the harvesting of the krill for food purposes in China mainland. The other one is Russia, because Russia and China are, best buddies. And the third country that opposed is Norway. Okay? So Norway is against the Antarctic Ocean Sanctuary, which I was really surprised about. But apparently it's a political issue going with the Arctic Ocean and Russia. But when I spoke to Norwegian officials as a Greenpeace ambassador, and I went there and I met with parliament members and with one minister, and they told me, when I asked them, why did you oppose? And they said, well, we think that the proposal for the sanctuary was not presented right. If it would be corrected, we would be happy to support it. So it's kind of a political answer saying we screwed up, or something like that. That's a political way of telling me to go find myself. I don't know. So it didn't work, but, and this is a huge but, there was a huge win when the ARC, which is the organization which encompasses 85% of the krill harvesting vessels are members of the ARC, the ARC. They made a commitment not to operate within the Antarctic Sanctuary. So although there is no official sanctuary, the ARC made a commitment not to act in those waters to protect the krill. So there is a win in that concept, in that campaign, although it's not an official win with boundaries and enforcement, but it is a win for the krill, which will be protected. So that's a great win. And this is not just me. I'm part of the campaign, of course. Greenpeace has done a huge job. Also, Javier Bardem did a very, very cool video, and other Greenpeace ambassadors also. So it's a huge team effort, and I'm proud to be a part of it. So when we go to Antarctica, and here I'm going to talk to you about our expedition there, which I hope you'll join, because I can't wait to be there again. So when we go to Antarctica, we're going to see the Gentoo, the chinstrap, the Adelie, the albatrosses, of course, the whales and the seals. And we're going to do, we have 3 different departures right now. We might add because of the high demand. So some of them are 10-day long, crossing the Antarctic polar circle, and some are 8-day long, which is not crossing the polar circle, and they're cheaper. So there are a couple of options to go around. There is one in January 2022, 1st to the 10th of January 2022. There is one in December 2022, 17th to 24, and there is one in January 23, which is the 22nd to 29th of January 2023. So the boat in January 2023 is the one we are chartering complete. So the entire boat, 64 people boat, is we charter it completely, and it's going to be a photographic expedition in which we're going to go to the best photographic locations. We're going to do some cool sunrise, sunset photos, and we have full flexibility because I'm going to be the expedition leader and I'm going to say where the boat goes. So that's great photographic wise. And so that's in January 22nd to 29th, 2023. But because the boat is almost completely full, it was completely full 3 weeks ago, so we added 2 extra boats on January 22 and December 22. And we started moving people away from the boat of January 2023, so we'll have spots remained for more people to join on that boat, because we don't want everything to be completely booked and people can't sign up. So we added boats just to comply with the demand. So I'm guiding all 3 of those, and well, the reason is because I want to be there, but also because I know you'll enjoy my guidance over there. So I'm gonna guide that. I don't know if you know me, but I'm a wildlife photographer, and I've done a bunch of stuff. You can read on my website. I don't want to brag, but just look online. And we have a huge team on board the boat, and these are experts, top level PhDs, historians, marine biologists, which gonna guide us and give us information about Antarctica. These are people who actually lived in Antarctica and they know the best way around. We have a small vessel. Smaller is better in Antarctica, in Svalbard. If you want to be a photographer, if you want to photograph, you need a smaller boat, and that gives you way more flexibility, and you can spend more time on land, because most of the Antarctic coastline is protected, and only up to 100 people are allowed to be on land simultaneously. So if a boat has more than 100 people, including staff and crew, only up to 100 can touch the ground. Okay, so the boat is 65 people, and with the team we can be all together on land simultaneously. So we don't have to do shifts, like half of the boat is stuck on board the boat and half of the boat can go on the coast. So we can all go on the coast, and we can spend as much time as we want on the coastline without limitations that are usually around for the bigger vessels. So this boat is a small boat. It's really fast, 14 knots. It's really reliable. It's class 1A ice strengthened, so it can really go through the ice. And it's an amazing boat. It's called the Ocean Nova. And really good conditions, really good amenities. There's really good food. Also vegetarian options and vegan options for those who'd like that. And so that's the way it is. And that's the boat. This is actually the itinerary for January 1st to 10th, 2022, which we have 2 last spots for. And for December, we have 9 spots. And for January 23, we have 9 spots left. And that's all there is. We might add more. I can't guarantee that if there will be availability. But if you want to join, now is a great time. And also, while we are out there at the end of the world, if we want to do something extra, while I'm there, I'm going to go photographing the pumas in Torres del Paine. So if you're there and you want to also join me and photograph the pumas in Torres del Paine, you're more than welcome to join me, which will be really cool. It's practically guaranteed. We're sending out several scouts to find the pumas before sunrise, so when we wake up with the radio, we know exactly where to go, and we're gonna come back with some awesome photos. The photos you see here are taken by one of our guides, a guide named Amit. He's also guiding this expedition with me, and also with the pumas. So this is while we're there, kind of thing. And of course, the company. This is my team, our team. So I'm not doing this by myself. There's an amazing team behind me, and it's an amazing company. And again, I don't want to brag, but they're a bunch of the finest humans I know. Okay, so great job for them. And so if you want to join, just email me or us, the team, at info@galitz.com, and we'll make sure to get back to you with all the information that you want. And of course, thank you for joining and listening. And now we're going to have some time for Q&A. Okay, so I know you have a lot of questions. And I'm going to start answering that immediately. So we have a first question from Barry. Barry asks, does the trip start in New York or elsewhere in the US, or does the trip start in Punta Arenas? So people are coming from all over the world. People are coming from the US, all over the US. We have a lot of Australians, a lot of Aussies coming in. We have a bunch of Brits coming in from the UK, POMs as they call it. We have a few Dutch people coming in from Amsterdam, and we have some Spanish people coming in, and some from Israel. So people are coming from all over the world. We are starting in Punta Arenas in southern Chile. You're welcome to come a little bit early and stay a little bit later. And again, while you're there, it's an amazing area, one of the best locations on Earth. And wait, I'm going to stop the sharing of the screen so you can see. So while you're there, you can also look around, and people are coming from all over. So that's answering Barry. Another question that I have, is it going to be cold? Well, it's summertime in Antarctica, so it's as hot as it's going to be. But usually it's above freezing. It almost doesn't go below freezing. So you should bring nice warm clothes. But I've had days where I went without a jacket even. So it's not that cold. The boat itself, it doesn't rock too much. People are asking me how rocky it is in Antarctica, the boat itself. So it's not too rocky because we are not in the Drake Passage. Okay, we don't have that high waves, and most of the times we're going to go through the straits, through the narrows and the fjords around the Antarctic Peninsula. So that's fairly protected. I don't want to say that there won't be any rocking around, any waves, but we could have a little bit, not too much. I don't think it's going to be more than 2 meters high, but usually it's very flat. And where we're sleeping, we usually try to make it even flatter. Okay, so you don't have to worry about seasickness too much, so no worries about that. And we also have anti-seasickness pills, which even makes you sleep better on board the boat. So don't worry about that. Some people like the patches. Some people like there is a nice band that people put on against seasickness. I love that placebo. Okay, if it works for you, use it. Whatever placebo works for you. So that's about seasickness. Okay. Is it only for photographers? No, it's not just for photographers. On the boat itself, most of the people are not photographers, and we have guides for the non-photographers. And I'm going to guide the photography part, and the other guides on board the boat, which are amazing professionals, will guide the rest. So you don't have to be a photographer to join that. If you are into photography, you're gonna get photography guidance. Okay, so no worries about that. But yeah, we're gonna talk a lot about photography if you're into that. If you're not, You don't have to be you don't have to be in my talks. You can listen about the history and the geology and the wildlife of Antarctica if you'd like. So no, it's not just for photographers. Everybody's welcome to join. No one's perfect. Okay, just kidding. So if you have other questions, feel free to ask in the chat. Do we have any other questions? Yeah. Should we sign up now for 2023? Well, yeah, you should sign up now for 2023 because now it's the boat is starting to get full. Okay, so this is why you should sign up now. And by the end of 2021, you can cancel for whatever reason you'd like and get a full refund without any penalty. Okay, so you can sign up now for 2023 and you're still perfectly safe. No worries about that. You have to have insurance for the trip. Yeah, you have to have insurance for the trip. So get your travel insurance with you. John Zimmerman is here. John is asking, how physically taxing is the trip? Are the rooms and corridors big enough for claustrophobic people? Well, it's not physically demanding at all. Okay, there is a short walk between the plane, because our plane it's a private jet. Okay, it's a big private jet, but it's a private jet. It's 80 people, 80 seats. It lands on the gravel, on the ground in Antarctica. So there's no airport over there. Okay, so we're landing on the gravel, and then we walk to the boat. So there is a short hike from the plane to the boat. You don't have to carry your luggage. We have ATVs that we carry your luggage for you. So that's as demanding as it's gonna be. You need to go up the stairs a couple of times a day. The corridors are wide, they're big enough, they're not claustrophobic. We have decks, okay, so you can go on deck and you can go, there are several decks so you can go out, and observation decks. So it's not claustrophobic at all. And it's not physically demanding. And if it's only as demanding as you'd like it to be. Okay, we've had people that are handicapped that went on that boat. Okay, so just to be clear, I've had an 86-year-old man with me on board the boat. So again, it's okay. Don't worry about it. What's the price range? That's a great question, Ronnie. What's the price range? So for January 2022, all the triple rooms and the single rooms are all sold out. So we only have 2 spots left, and that's in twin occupancy, in the twin cabin, and that's $17,990, $18,000. Let's round it up. That's for January 2022. For December 2022, 17th to the 24th of December, that starts from $11,500. $11,500 for a person in a triple room, or $15,000 for a person in a twin room. And January 2023, it starts from $14,500 per person in a triple room, and goes up accordingly. So these are the price ranges. That's including the flight over the Drake Passage, and the flight over Drake Passage is a big chunk of that. And we're saving 5 days of trip. We're saving 5 days of trip thanks to that flight. So instead of 2.5 days each direction, it's only 2-hour flight. Okay, so you're saving 5 days. You can spend more time with the Pumas in Torres del Paine, or you can spend more time at home if you have to get back for work or family or whatever. And you save time, you save the seasickness and the Drake shake, and you don't need to suffer. So that's a huge advantage. So the prices that I've mentioned, including that flight, including everything on the ground, including the hotel before and after the trip, including a lot around that, it doesn't include the international flight, it doesn't include the insurance, which depending on your insurance company. So that's the price range. So yeah. Any other questions? Okay, if you're coming single, if you're coming by your own, do you need to get a single room? No, you don't have to. You can go to a triple cabin or a twin cabin, and we'll match you up with a person from your own gender, your own sex, and if you have to, yeah. We'll match you up, and no worries about it. You can have a single room if you'd like, if there is availability, because some of them are sold out. And so yeah, you can have that. Any other questions? Okay, I think I've answered everything. Yeah, we have one from Chen. Do you get your passport stamped in Antarctica? No, you don't get that stamped in Antarctica. You can get that stamped in Punta Arenas and in Ushuaia. They stamp you. I have that stamp. It says Fin del Mundo. Fin del Mundo, the end of the world. So I have that, and it's just a cross on my passport from, I have the Santa Claus stamp from Lapland. So I have that, it's just the opposite of each other. You can get that stamped in Fin del Mundo over there. Maybe I'll get a stamp for you specifically. I'll buy a stamp and I'll stamp it for you in Antarctica. Okay, I can do that. We're gonna have the first stamp in Antarctica. Okay, so no worries about that. Okay, guys. So I really hope you'll join me there. It's one of the most amazing experiences. It changes your perception. It changed me. I don't know. I can't tell you about yourself, but it changes your perception of the world. Just being there on the edge of the world, in Antarctica, where the great explorers have been at the end of the earth. Okay, there is no further place away from Antarctica. So I really hope you'll fulfill that dream, and after that year of terrible COVID and lockdowns and restrictions and our freedom and our passions have been taken away from us, finally we have a chance to go out to the world again. And for me, I've been dreaming about Antarctica for so long, and it took me so long to find the right composition of the trip with the flight over the Drake Passage. Because after my Drake Passage experience, I don't want to go on the boat again. I want to fly over. So it took me so long to find that. And finally we have that. And finally we have the opportunity to go there. So I really hope you join me there. So again, thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Luke and Kieran and John and everybody here, and Alon and Barry and Birgit and everyone coming here. I hope you're all safe and you're all healthy and you can feel the world opening up. And let's hope it stays that way and get better. So again, thank you for staying here and listening to me passionately talking about Antarctica, and I hope you share that passion with me. So have a great day, everybody. Bye for now, and we're going to do more talks. I'm going to update you on my mailing list. So bye. Bye, John. Bye, Barry.